Oh, I see it. We're rolling, everybody. Welcome,
Yeah.
welcome to the group chat. If you're new here, which all of you should be new here, welcome. My name is Alex, and this is.
My name is Josiah, Fanene too. And we're all new.
We're all new here. Well, we're the brand new family, part of the All Day fam, and we want to thank KJ and G for starting this podcast off. I was lucky enough to be on one of their episodes. Actually, I think it might have been one of their first lives. Josiah was a crucial part in every single live. He was all up in the chats. He was all up in the questions. He was creating a lot of controversial questions for KJ and G to answer. And funny enough, we know each other from back in the day, like back in the day college days. And now we have come back together, after 20 years to talk
It's
football
about
and
about
talk
20
all
years.
the things. Yes.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. How are you feeling after yesterday? Seahawks are 3-0.
I feel great. I feel hopeful.
Yeah.
You and I talked about this for a little bit last year and the year before. I felt like we were definitely playoff caliber teams, and
Yes.
that's about as far as I thought they could go. Just make it to the playoffs. But this
Mhm.
year, they're definitely giving the vibe that I feel like they could make a deep run in the playoffs this year or better.
Oh, or better.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna
I
start there.
mean,
Yeah,
funny enough, we're 3-0. I think a lot of people did not think we would be here right off the jump with a new coach, knew a lot of things happening, but we look pretty solid out there. I think people are still unsure about Geno. How do you feel about that? And how do you feel about just how the team has started off these first three games?
I think numbers speak for themselves. He's a
Hmm.
two-time Pro Bowler.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know what else you got to say about him, but that and, you take the interceptions he's had this year. He has three picks this year. The first pick, he got hit in the back of the legs. The two picks this game, they were tipped, or yeah, they were tipped. Both of them were tipped, and so it's not like he just tried to force a ball in there and made a bad decision. It was just one of those things where shit happens sometimes, and that was out of his control. The rest of the game, where it wasn't his control, he was surgical. He was
Hmm.
surgical with his passing game. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm pumped
Yeah.
about him.
I agree with that. I think I was super pumped about the passing game because I feel like lately it hasn't the past couple years were a little but just his connection to every single receiver, you got DK, you got Lockett, you got JSN, and all of them. Even Charbonnet was in the
They got
mix
Bobo the ball
too.
too this weekend. I saw Bobo get the ball. So
Bobo.
yeah, man. Tight ends are getting involved. I saw Noah Fant and Farrell Brown both get a
Yes.
couple of catches.
Yes.
I mean, everybody. The distribution of the ball is huge, and it's one of those things where now it's kind of pick your poison if you're the defense. Do I load the box and try to slow down K9 when he's healthy or Zach? Or
Hmm.
do I,
Hmm.
play one man back to try to make sure DK doesn't get behind us and cook us for
Hmm.
another 50, 70-yard touchdown? So
Oh my god,
it's
that was
it's a good
wild.
place. Yeah.
I think one of my
Yeah.
favorite things to see is when he gets the ball and he just has an open field, just his strides. Just
He's like a
his strides.
it's like he does this thing when he starts running he's moving his head he like does this to
Yeah.
his head,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, he's moving,
Yeah.
and then you could see the separation yard after yard after yard. Man, he's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's definitely the separation because it doesn't look like he's running that fast because he's just so smooth and so graceful. But when you see the
Hmm.
separation, it's er, uh, you're
Yeah.
like, all right, he's gone. He's gone. All right.
So I'm really excited though about especially the running game. K9
Mhm.
goes out. It's a lot of people are worried about. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen with our run game? How are we going to balance this offense? I mean, next man up. That's what it's always been. The
Right.
culture here in Seattle. So,
Right.
uh, and then you have Sharp. He's just when he needs a breather. I actually saw K Matt get in there a couple times. That was nice
Mhm.
too. I was like, ooh,
Right.
Kenny
Right.
McIntosh finally in the mix too. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
just
nice. It's nice to see everybody step up, and it's nice to see everybody contribute in a positive way, and kind of goes to show that, like you said, next man up, and they're ready to
mhm.
go. And you don't really see that too often in teams. And it's nice that we can count on every single one of our players. Because when you look at other teams and they only have I mean, the Dolphins, who were we worried about? Waddle and Hill. When did Hill get the ball? Like, not even. Granted, their second
Second
and third
half.
string. Yeah, exactly. Granted, their second and third string quarterback had to play, but still, it's like we did not see anything happen to them. And look, they
Well,
scored a field
I'm not gonna
goal.
let them off the hook because I remember last year Dolphins fans were calling for Tua's job, saying, "Put in Thompson, put in Thompson." And
Mm.
I'm like, "Hey, this is what a lot of y'all were wanting, and here he is. Here's your
Getting
prize backup."
getting rocked. Can we just
Man,
talk about him getting hit and had to just be taken out? Like, I hope he's okay because I always like to talk about, okay, if I was a quarterback, I would not want these DNs to be running at me as fast and as big as they are. Scary,
you
scary.
know, it so that's probably when I got my first taste of defense. I played. For those of you who don't know, I played high school ball, college ball,
Yeah.
but I play defensive line. I'm 6'5", 280. And when you have that much weight, and I'm slow compared to these guys, I am slow. These guys, they are moving. When you take that type of mass and that type of velocity, there's going to
Oof.
be some bone shattering right there.
Uh-uh.
When he took that hit from Dodson and he landed on his shoulder, I remember feeling like I landed on a quarterback one time when I got a sack, and I could feel him like, and then just crunch. And I'm like, ooh, I'm like thinking to myself, ooh, that hurt. And I'm like, thank God I
Ugh.
was never on the receiving end of that. So yeah, he was just
Yeah.
getting killed. So
Oh God, our defense had what, 6 sacks? Amazing. Crazy.
yeah,
They were just so active. Mafe, everybody. Oh my God. That was really fun to watch. I'm really excited about our defense. I know we've talked about this before, but our defense is, oh, I'm excited. They're just fun to watch.
yeah,
What did you say last time? They're violent and
yeah. That's that's the that's the killer instinct. There's a saying that anybody could play offense. In the football realm, anybody could
mhm.
play offense. Not everybody could play defense. Defense, it
Mhm.
takes you got to have some screws loose on defense. Like you got to have that killer mentality. You got to be violent. And that's one thing. We've also talked about my favorite player on defense is Leonard Williams because how big he is, how fast he is. He's violent with his hands, and but then you just see that aggression and that violence. People think just because you're flying around, you hit somebody, it's like, oh, that's a good hit. No, there's a difference between like tackling somebody and it's like you're trying to like rip somebody open when you tackle them, and gang
Mhm.
tackling too. So they're doing their thing out there. Especially, I gotta give credit where it's due. Derek Hall doing his thing this
Mm.
year. Um,
Yes.
I was on his head last year when you were talking about KJ and G's podcast. Him, Daryl Taylor was the other one. I was just
Yeah.
constantly going in on, and I give people their flowers. But last year they were, there's so much hype and it's such a high expectation. Last
Right.
year they were completely absent. This year,
Mhm.
even Derek Hall is balling right now. God, he got 2 sacks, I think 7 tackles. Holy smokes, he's
Crazy.
everywhere. I didn't realize it was that fast too. He was moving. He can move.
Right.
So really excited
So
about that. Tip my hat off to you, Mr. Hall.
ugh,
So
so good. So fun to watch. Not gonna lie though, the second half of the game I was a little bored. But that's okay. I think there was just a lot happening on both ends. But I was thinking about this because last year, like you okay, we're gonna talk about this in a second, but how a lot of roles are reversed as far as teams and how they're doing this year versus last year. The Dolphins last year, I think a year ago today, they scored 70 points against the Broncos.
hmm,
70, and they scored 3 points against the Seahawks. So, lots of injuries happening in the NFL, and, like, what are your thoughts about how, like, everywhere in the NFL, the Niners are 1 and 2, like, the Bengals are 0 and 3, like, what do you think is
yeah,
going on right now?
there's definitely a shifting in the power, around the powerhouses around the NFL as we speak right now. Yeah, there's injuries, but there sometimes just like you could feel it with Seattle right now, you could see on the TV that team's energy is just buzzing. When you
Mhm.
have teams like the Vikings right now, they're giving problems out there. They are giving problems, and
Right.
think back 4 years ago, they were. right there towards the bottom. You know,
Mhm.
Green Bay right now, after Aaron Rodgers left, they had their struggles, but uh, even without Jordan Love, they're buzzing. And when he's there, they're a team to be reckoned with.
Right.
The Jets, I mean, the Jets. Now that you got a healthy Aaron Rodgers, and take game one away, everybody just looked rusty. Every team
Right.
week one looks rusty, but they're starting to look pretty nasty. And I mean, it just the list goes on and on. The Steelers, what I'm saying, they are off to a hot start, and there's that
Who
whole
would have
uh,
thought?
yeah. I mean,
Who
you
would have thought?
take Justin Fields, who couldn't, do anything last year with the Bears. And when he was like healthy, you got Russell Wilson, who was struggling over there in Denver, and now they're both supposed to be fighting over the starting spot. But Justin Fields, he's leading them. He's managing the game well, and yeah, they're 3-0 now. So speaking of the three and
Crazy.
0 teams, here are the remaining 3-0s. This is a fun stat I always like to see right now. The Chiefs are 3-0, the
Mm.
Seahawks, the
Mhm.
Steelers, the Vikings, and the Bills, all undefeated so far. Um, which one of those teams do you think surprises you the most? I think you just said it too.
The Steelers for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steelers for sure. Bills, obviously. Chiefs, no comment.
Yeah.
Um, Vikings, yes.
Swift is undefeated still.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, yeah. And then I think I'm surprised about us too. I'm definitely surprised about us for sure, for sure.
They,
Um,
I've learned with the Seahawks, I was like, especially after the last 2 years, I'm going to set my bar right here. If they fall, if they do anything better than this, I'm like, ooh, sweet. Now I feel better. But no, they have completely surpassed my
right.
expectations with a new program. You could see everybody's clearly bought in. But yeah, man, Seahawks, they're looking like a
Mhm.
major, major threat right now. That's not me being from Seattle saying that.
Right.
I'm looking at it from a football aspect. So
Right.
yeah.
Shout out to Mike. Shout out to Mike MacDonald, not Mike McDonald. It was the battle of the Mike Donalds this last weekend for the Seattle and and the Miami
McDonald's,
team.
McDaniels, McDaniels, and McDonald. Yeah,
Right,
no,
right,
that
right,
was awesome, and that's one of the things, and that's the thing to say in itself too.
Mhm.
Mike McDaniels, he's known to be one of those offensive gurus, and to hold that team with those weapons on there to just 3 points is, I don't think
Right.
people really are fathoming how huge that is. You know what I mean?
Huge.
So
That was huge. So
if you're
shout
gonna tell
out.
me you held Tyreek Hill to 2 catches, 3 catches for nothing, it's crazy.
Insane.
So
Super excited. Let's talk about the rest of the NFC West. All right. The Niners are 1-2, which this last game, not gonna lie, I did take a little nap at the end of the Seahawks game. But then I woke up and the game was over, but then the Niners game was on. So if you don't know, I live in the Bay. It's it's great, but it's not great during football season. But I was like, "Oh, they're up 24-7, whatever, whatever." I turn the TV is on and it's 24-24, and then a PI happens. I'm like, "What is happening?
that
Like,
was
what the
wild.
fuck?" Why to the Rams, no offense, Rams, but you guys got Cooper Kupp, you got Puka out, like, a lot of your big hitters are out. And so then, like, what is going on with the night? And then you got Juwan Jennings doing better than
Boy, that
yeah,
guy
like, what? Sitting on
on
everybody's
his
fantasy benches?
yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like it's you have all the off-season stuff. We were talking about Trent Williams restructuring the contract. You had Ayuk's contract issue, and like all that happening, and then you pay Ayuk. Lo and behold, you have this gem in Joanne Jennings just show out. Yes, I don't know how else you can.
Right.
When someone says call when your number's called, I don't know how you can top that. You can't. The man outperformed anybody's expectations. So I
Mhm.
know we have some happy fantasy players that just went on a whim and got put them on their flex. So holy
Right.
smokes.
I know.
But funny thing. Here's the crazy thing about the Niners. Okay, you know they're. I was just looking at some checking out their status. Christian McCaffrey. He's flew out to Germany this last weekend.
Mm.
I know there's a lot of, in the article I was reading, it's from the 49ers page, but you had other athletes from different sports doing the same thing to go get get these procedures done, these surgeries. Kobe Bryant was even one of them. So he's over there, and he's not going to be back. They're not. They're saying it's highly doubtful he will be back by game week 7.
Is
And we play them week 6.
mm,
And then you have Debo Samuel, who's out, not playing next week. And I was looking at their news over there in
mhm,
the Bay,
mhm.
and he's doubtful for week 6 against us as well. So you think that their issues are on offense, right? And how we just held Tyreek and Waddle and
Mhm.
HN to 3 points. This is the craziest part right here. I did not realize this. The Niners have, well, let's go in order in the NFC West. The Rams have given up 91 points in the first 3 weeks. 91 points. They've only scored 57 points on offense. Okay.
Okay.
That's the worst in the NFC West. The second worst points given up, points allowed, Frisco. They have given up 69 points, so, and they've
Okay.
scored 73 points. That's pretty solid, but they've given up
Okay.
69. So I'm like thinking, here we are worried about their offense. Their defense is giving up 69 points.
Yeah.
And then Cardinals are giving up 64 points, and Seattle and the Niners have scored the same amount of points, 73 points through the first 3 weeks, but
Okay.
Seattle's only given up 43 points on defense.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay.
There. So I,
S- So what you're saying is that Seattle definitely needs to capitalize over the next maybe even like 4 weeks,
yep.
right? We need to capitalize over these next 4 weeks. We need to try to stay healthy too because obviously we need our numbers. But Niners, I don't know. I know I need to check on my Niners friends out here cuz
Yeah.
it's been very quiet. It's been very quiet.
If I was just looking over their schedule for the rest of the season, and you and I agreed on this earlier when we were talking how Seattle, and KJ said Seattle could even be a 10-win. Um,
Oh,
I
he
think you
said they're
said
gonna
that.
be a 10.
Yeah.
He said KJ Wright, and I quote, "The Seahawks are gonna win 10 games this season."
Mm.
And he said I could quote him on that. So,
Before the season started, I said they could be a 9-win team.
okay,
After the first 3 weeks, they could legitimately be worst case, I think an 11-win team.
I agree.
Now, looking over the Niners, um, the rest of their schedule, crazy take right here. I think Seattle win the NFC West. They can easily do it. We have an opportunity to pull away right now to win the NFC West and get that playoff spot. And I
Mhm.
and I know it's super early, but still,
We
just
need
look at
to
the schedules. But the Niners, hot take. I was looking at the schedules. They might mess around and be a nine win team this year. If you look at who they're playing, look at the matchups, look at what they're struggling with right now, and by the time their players hit stride, all the injured ones, yeah, it might be a little too late at that point to make their comeback to make a run at the NFC West. So there you have it. My prediction: Niners go
It's just
9 wins.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's just so crazy because last year I was like, being a Seattle fan in the Bay, watching the Niners just crush it. I was like, I hate to say this, but they're fucking good.
yeah.
I hate saying this. And then you watch receivers and you see how like it's just like a cool different perspective. And
Mhm.
then this is happening and you're like, what? It
You know,
just kind of
you
goes to show that anything can happen, you know?
when we're talking about the shifting of the powers throughout the NFL, like the powerhouses, you, myself, and Mike, Money Mike, we've talked about this team right now. There's a lot of people who are kind of, hey, yeah, we won 3 games, but could have done better. Yeah, yes. First of all, take the wins as they come. It's hard to win in this league,
Mhm.
let alone stay undefeated 3 weeks in. Now, that being said, we've talked about this is that I feel like this team is given 2012 vibes. You have a new program.
Mm,
You have a lot of guys who's got chips on their shoulders. They're hungry, and more importantly,
mhm,
unlike last year, unfortunately, I love Coach Carroll, but you could just tell they weren't bought into that
mm,
program that we fell in love with the Legion of Boom era.
right.
These boys are bought in right now, and they're playing. More importantly, they're playing for the man next to them. You can see that, that's kind of cliche, but they're playing for the man next to them and not just doing their own thing.
Right.
So flip side, when that team got really expensive, that Legion of Boom, what happened? You got to start paying people, and then it starts to decline. That whole powerhouse that you had. That's what I'm starting to see with Frisco. Uh,
Hmm.
they're you got to start paying people. Those are distractions. Another distraction. Guess what? You lost 3 Super Bowls, the last 3 ones you've been to. There's going to be a point. I actually talked about this with KJ and G on their chimed in on this, brought it up, and KJ agreed. If you lose 3 Super Bowls, does that do something to your mentals?
Oh,
And it does.
100%.
Like, do you?
100%.
Yeah, it's like, do you start believing we're just going to we'll make a deep run in the playoffs, but we can't win this thing.
Hmm.
So that's where
Hmm.
I'm starting to see this right now in Seattle's favor. So it's a good time to be a Seahawks fan right now.
Oh, it is. And I think that people don't talk about mentals and how, I mean, Marshawn Lynch talked about mentals, take care of your mentals, but
Take
everything
care
is
of your
such a mental
chickens.
to take care of your chicken, take care of your money, take care of your mentals. But it's so important. Like the mental game is just as important as the actual physical game. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, like you were saying, the Niners have lost 3 Super Bowls, and it's just kind of going downhill for them right now. But and their injuries, and it's like who knows what is going on. But I don't know. See, so Seahawks have the Lions next
Mm-hmm.
in Detroit. And then they have the Giants home, and then they have the Niners home Thursday night football.
Mm-hmm.
What are
That's
your predictions for the next 3 weeks? Like, where do you think the Seahawks are going to be?
before this game against Miami. I was like, God, we talked about this too. I was like, the Seahawks might mess around and win the next 3 games after last week's win. Not this past game, but I said they
Mhm,
might lose to the Lions. That's a tough game. But
mhm,
honestly, just because they have such a high-powered offense, you have, St. Brown, you have
mhm.
Jared Goff throwing the ball. I mean, all their weapons, Jameson. But after this last week, to see that we held those weapons from Miami to 3 points,
Right,
um, and the way our offensive line, who's been our Achilles tendon for God knows how long, you can
right.
see what happens when they run the ball. There's never I don't see an issue running the ball. If they even give Geno a split second more than what he's used to, he's gonna dissect teams. This is the thing. If you could stop old boy Hutchinson,
Mhm.
that crazy white boy DM, man, he is an animal. Oh my god, I think he had six sacks right now, or 6 or 7 sacks. I'm like, bro, we're only 3 weeks in. Oh,
Crazy,
that's
crazy.
crazy. So he's crazy. Yep.
So we need to look out
But
for
I
him.
think we could win that one, though. I actually think we could. I actually think he just burped.
Yeah, excuse me. Could you hear it? Oh, shit. Oh, so gross. Sorry, excuse
I
me.
thought I heard something, but then you gave it away like this. You were like this. I was like, okay, she burped.
That's why I'm drinking it. I don't know why I'm drinking an Olipop at this hour right now, but I'm
I have
drinking
no
one.
idea what that is, but that looks yummy though.
It's pretty good. It's a healthy soda.
Okay,
Shout out
healthy
Olipop.
soda. All right, all right.
Sorry, but
Yeah, so
yes,
I think
we
we
need
could
to
win
watch
that
it.
game for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
and then we have the Giants after that. I think we
Yeah.
could win that one too. You don't ever want to
But
sleep on people, but
the thing is, I feel like the Seahawks do sleep on people in the past, and that makes me nervous every single time. So we need to not sleep on them. But let's just do a one game at a time. Can I just like say
mm-hmm.
something about week 3 really quick? I want to kind of rewind a little bit. Can we talk about Andy Dalton?
Ooh,
Can we talk about this little like spicy ginger snap that
a
came
little red
a little
firecracker.
little red firecracker ginger snap? Like, hello. I was texting my girlfriends and I was like, yo, have you guys seen what Andy Dalton looks like recently? One of my girlfriends was like, what? And she's like, oh shoot, just Googled. Okay, spicy ginger snap.
Yeah, he's turning into like that hot old guy, he's not young
Def
anymore. When him and but that's what I've been hearing. Like people said, "Oh my God, he's hot." It's like, I just never understood when people thought George Clooney was the hottest guy in Hollywood. I was like, he's
Oh,
old, but
yeah.
and he was playing like young Andy right there.
Oh,
But
I'm
holy
like,
smokes.
okay, Panthers. I was like, is this what you needed against the
Mm.
Raiders? I don't know. It was kind of cool to watch because I was like, all right, that's the Andy Dalton that used to score me hella points on fantasy football. Right? You're like,
Yep.
that's the Andy Dalton that I remember. So it was really cool to see him just kind of show out a little bit at that game. But
How do you
yeah.
think Russell Wilson feels about that? Because remember, they came into the league right around the same time, and it was always like the top quarterbacks. You have Andy Dalton was that hot new guy. Then Russell Wilson's also the hot new
Mhm.
quarterback. And then Russell did his thing, and Russell went up. Andy Dalton went down, and out of nowhere, from the dead, Andy Dalton comes in and shows out.
Right.
So
I know. Oh, Russ. I
speak.
think he got screwed at the Broncos. That franchise just wasn't a good fit for
Nope.
him. So it's too bad, you know. Eh,
Yeah, the grass ain't always
eh.
greener. Sorry, did I say that out loud? Okay. Um, my bad.
I mean,
Sorry, not
there's
sorry.
a time for everybody, you know, there's a time and a place. There's just not his time and his place. All right. Okay.
Well,
Do you have any hot takes you want to share with us? Any hot takes? Any hot takes? I love hot takes. Let's kind of get this
well, I kind of gave my
going.
hot take. My hot take right now, after looking at every team in the NFL, especially the NFC West,
Hmm.
I'm like thinking right now, you know, it doesn't look like Puka Nakua will be back anytime soon. But look what they just did, how they rallied against the Niners without Puka or Cooper. I think the Niners and the Rams will be fighting the way they're playing right now, and the way our schedule's lined up right now, and how we're playing. I think the Niners will be a 9-win team, and I think they might be fighting for a wild card spot, and it's their turn to
Mm,
do that. Try to get in the playoffs. I think we're gonna make a deep run, and the reason why is because not only do we have everything we've talked about from the culture, the
hmm.
intensity, the
Yeah.
efficiency, but the depth. You know what I'm saying? We have
Mm,
so much depth. It's crazy. So,
that's so important.
mhm.
All right, what
But
are you
yeah,
most excited? Let's just finish off by saying like what are you most excited, offense or defense? If it's like an individual or like a specific part of our offense or defense, what are you most excited about to see the rest of the season?
I'm 1000% a defense guy.
Mhm.
Okay. And I love to see the guys playing to the potential. I love to see I hated the 3-4 defense for the longest. If you can't do it right, don't do it because you're gonna get killed by it. But
Mm,
as much as I love defense, I'm excited to see what this offense does this year.
right.
And the reason being is because I just feel like with the offensive schemes that we had the last 2 years, especially, we never really got to capitalize on the talent like DK Metcalf, K9,
Right.
Jackson Smith
Right.
and Jigba. You have Grubb come in and he's doing formations and shifts that I'm like, I don't even know what the hell I would call that, if I was on defense.
Right.
If the O line can do
Mhm.
something, do something.
Please.
This is going to be a scary offense.
Right. Right.
So, but that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Seeing that
Uh,
offense just take off. You know,
right. And I think we're starting to see chips of it, like little pieces of it every single game. Like I think we're starting to see it, and I'm super excited too. But like you said, we love the D pause, and
no Diddy. You forgot to say no Diddy. I have to throw that in there.
you have to throw that in there. But
No
yeah, no,
DD.
I'm just excited for this defense. I love it when they light up. I just love it when people get hit super hard. I just like love all the sacks. I love how excited they get after they get the sacks, the dance moves, the body rolls. Let's see more of it. I need more.
Yeah,
I
bring
need
back the
more.
Mebane body roll and then the Michael Bennett.
Please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I want to see some of that.
I do too.
Take that.
Oh my God. Oh,
So,
I'm so excited. I'm sweating even just talking about this season. I'm excited that we get to talk a lot about it because living in the Bay is just doesn't happen too often. So I'm really excited to
mhm.
put this together.
I'm excited
The
too.
group
Yeah.
chat. Yes. Thank you for welcoming us to the all day family.
And if you haven't been on there before, if this is your first time seeing our faces or hearing anything about the name all day, check out Lofa Tatupu and Brett Davern. They
Yes.
also do some awesome live streams, post games,
Hmm.
in the evenings. Some good feedback. Lofa get into the brain of a multi Pro Bowl, All Pro linebacker. Who's been to the Super Bowl. It's you never know what they're thinking. Well, go listen in, and he'll tell you exactly what they think. So,
exactly what he's thinking. No filter on Lofa's mouth for sure. And we love it.
For
We
sure.
love it. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for watching the first episode
Thank you
of the
guys.
group chat. We'll see y'all later.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.